What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Thank you for watching on the Fox Sports app, YouTube, or listening wherever you get your podcast. I am in Indianapolis, where I saw one of the two best teams in college football stamp their 13-0 season, looking ahead to the college football playoff, waiting like you for hours to see what the field was. And let's start with number one, which was a no-brainer, right? Georgia. Georgia stopped the mud hole in LSU and walked it dry, 50-30. Outstanding performance from Stetson Bennett, and that running game had over 250 yards on the ground. The defense is stout. Jalen Carter is a dude. The question is, can any of these three teams we're going to talk about challenge the Georgia Bulldogs for a national championship? And my goodness, yeah, I got takes on that. At number two, Michigan. Undefeated, had beaten Ohio State on the road in Columbus for what I believe is the best win of the year. They felt like Georgia. They were going to get in regardless of the outcome of their respective conference championship game. And then it got a little bit spicy. Who was going to be at number three was the question we had. I thought it was going to be Ohio State. The College Football Playoff Selection Committee said, no, we think it's TCU. And what a win for the Horned Frogs down there in Fort Worth, who are making their first trip to the college football playoff in school history after a fantastic season, going 12-0 in the regular season for the second time since 2010, and then just falling short in overtime to Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game. But we saw what we needed to see from the TCU Horned Frogs, and frankly, from Max Duggan, who was crying after the game, really put his heart out there and showed what we know about that TCU team. They have guts. And frankly, they are the reason we have the suits in a boardroom making these college football playoff selection committee rankings. I'm going to tip my hat to them on this. They know how this went down in 2014 for TCU and Baylor, quite honestly, when they were staring at Ohio State, Texas Christian, and Baylor for that 4 spot. Turned out Ohio State stomps a mud hole in Wisconsin and walks it dry. They get the pick for the 4 spot. They ride that all the way to their last national championship. TCU believed then, and does now, that if you'd have put them in that 4 spot, that they would have had the same opportunity and gone and won a national championship. Now, in the number 3 spot, they have a chance. They're going to play the Big Ten champion, Michigan Wolverines, who have been outstanding on the ground and in rush defense. They were able to beat up on a plucky Purdue team without their star tailback in Blake Corum and without some guys that they are used to having on the inside and the interior, including Mike Morris, who was outstanding all the way up through this Ohio State game where they really did charge to that number 2 spot and make us believe they are one of the 4 best teams in college football. And then at number 4, the Ohio State Buckeyes sneak in on a USC loss. Doesn't matter to them how they got in. It only mattered that they did get in. So looking at these top 4, what do we know? We know that for the first time in college football playoff era, we have Ohio State and Michigan in the same playoff, not unlike 2017 or even 2021 when we had Alabama and Georgia representing the SEC in the same college football playoff. The selection committee has really telegraphed for the entire way. We don't really care if you've not won your division. We don't really care if you haven't won your conference championship. Our job is to put the 4 best teams into the college football playoff, and I think they got this right. So I also want to talk a bit about what these games are going to be like and who I'm still picking to win the national championship. Let's go to who got left out, okay? At number 5, it's got to be Alabama, it must be said. Now, I have been very vocal about what the hell is Alabama even doing in this conversation. It's not just that they have 2 losses and a 2-loss team has never made the college football playoff. It's who they lost to. So they lost to Tennessee, which many people believed is a very good football team when they had Hendon Hooker, and began these rankings ranked number 1 when they first came out. But they also lost to LSU. And LSU made that loss even worse when they lost to Texas A&M, who's 5-7 just last week, and then got a 50-burger dropped on their skull in the SEC championship. And I've got Nick Saban caping for a team that finished out the season with wins against Ole Miss, Austin Peay, and Auburn. Austin Peay's an FCS team. We don't like that in November. We also know Auburn was in transition. They still didn't have a head coach. And we don't really think that Ole Miss is the caliber of team that could challenge for a college football playoff spot. Then you have to take into account, what did they do when they were completely healthy and against whom? They squeaked by A&M and they squeaked by Texas. It's not one of Nick Saban's best teams, but it is a 10-win team. And I honestly respect him wanting to stand up for his guys and giving them an opportunity to get into this playoff, which I know he thinks he's doing the right thing there, but we didn't need to see Alabama in this playoff any more than we need to see Clemson in this playoff. And then at number 6, I feel terrible for Tennessee because it felt like they are a South Carolina win away from being in that 4 spot that is occupied by Ohio State. If they had not lost to South Carolina State, or to South Carolina, not South Carolina State, in the way that they had, we're probably talking about Tennessee being in the spot. And frankly, if Hendon Hooker had led them from behind down 18 before he had his season-ending injury, we probably take that win and we say great things about what Tennessee can do with their back against the wall, like we have against Texas Christian, who has made it their job to play from behind, right? And as we get through these top 25s coming into the coming days, we'll talk more about them. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.